Okay, it's time to power rank the Rocky franchise. Ricky Flex, we have a decision to make again. Do we make a joint list or should we just share each of ours?
I think they're going to be very similar. So it might be more interesting if we can't trying to debate what our single one is. The drive-in pods, Rocky power rankings.
Yeah, let's do it. I think they're going to be fairly similar as well, but I do think there's going to be some confrontation here. We'll see. A lot of times I say there's going to be confrontation and then there is minimal. So let's see how it plays out. I think we should start off right. So we have 9 total Rocky movies, right? 6 from the Rocky itself franchise and 3 from the spinoff of Creed. Let's start off with number 9. My number 9 is Rocky Balboa. Ricky Flex, do you have something similar?
I have Rocky 5.
Okay, we're fine. We're fighting
I
already.
I honestly don't hate Rocky Balboa at the last one though, because I do think Tommy Morrison, like he wasn't great, but he was a presence in Rocky 5. I just hate what they decided to do for Rocky 5, which is why I have it last.
Tommy Gunn, first of all, it's one of the greatest like boxing names in movies.
So good.
Um, I find myself like I will never rewatch Rocky Balboa, but I will rewatch moments of Rocky 5. Rocky Balboa, if it's on TV, I will not say, "Oh, I'm going to stay on this." It's something about it aged Rocky Balboa and aged Sylvester Stallone, like almost how he did Rambo. Like he's done like 2 Rambo movies in the 21st century that don't hit, that people are like want to forget that they ever happened. I think Rocky Balboa, people just want to forget that because first of all, the concept is so lame, where it's like this guy, like the simulation of a video game, like beats Rocky. So therefore he feels like he has a promoter who says, "Oh, you got to take this fight." The villain is so forgettable, right? And sometimes you see that in the Rocky franchise, but none more so than Rocky Balboa. I thought the relationship with him and I forgot who that woman was. Just the weird, it was like non-sexual but sexual at the same time. Like they
Mm.
are attracted to each other. I'm just like to me, Rocky Balboa is like Rocky 5. I will be watching for that final absurd like street match between Rocky Balboa and Tommy Gunn,
But
the mentor versus the mentee. Like I love that scene because like that's where the Rocky franchise was like kind of losing it. But at the same time,
kinda.
I was yeah, but at the same time, I was like rooting for hard for Rocky when I first saw that.
So like the reason why I have, not only because I just hate what the decision they made for Rocky himself in Rocky 5, but the only scene I want to watch from Rocky 5 is the final fight scene, and it's not because it's good, it's because how stupid and absurd it is. Versus Rocky Balboa, I'll watch the last act of that movie, see his son. I want to see that outside the restaurant scene when they're talking, and then see that eventual fight. Even though, yes, you are right, equally absurd plot to this movie of how the fight actually comes to be. So honestly, as long as those two are our bottom two, I'm okay.
And like Tommy Gunn is an excellent heel. Almost feels like he belongs in a professional wrestling movie more so than like a boxing movie,
Oh,
right?
good
And
point.
also like Rocky 5 still has like some of the iconic lines. Like touch me and I'll sue. Like people I say that still. Like I say that all the time. Like there's nothing memorable about Rocky Balboa. There are things that are memorable about Rocky 5 no matter what you think of the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, crap. I think you got me with the villain. I just, yeah, because like I
I don't even
don't
know the
remember.
actor who played the
Yeah,
villain in Rocky
I could
Balboa.
picture him. I just don't know him. So I think you got me.
Okay. Well, either way, we'll just have this at the bottom too. Oh my god, this is where it's gonna get kinda crazy. I've Creed 2 as the next one on my list. How about you?
That's the easy one. Way
Yeah.
too reliant on the Rocky franchise in this one, and not a good villain as well.
It strayed away from what Creed did so well. It seemed like Creed seamlessly, like, took on, right, the Rocky lore, but then gave a great origin story. But the second one, it's like it almost went backwards for Creed's character. It was more so for like it wanted to explore Drago and his son's relationship more so than Creed himself. And like when people heard about him fighting Drago's son, Rocky being confronted by Drago again, like people were like licking their chops. And the concept was better than the execution. You know, it sounds so good, but when you see it on screen, you're like, man, this doesn't work. Although the montage in Creed 2 is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, like why this one's better than the previous two is because it actually had a good plot and a good story. Like it just executed it poorly. And they tried to give the father son relationship there with Drago's, and it just didn't work out. They had the wife there in an awkward situation with the Russian government. Politics got involved. It was just way too big for his bridges. That's why it's still a better story. So overall, it's got and has some good training montage. It has a good training montage and fighting sequences. Still, that's why it's above the other two. But that's why it has to be the next up though, behind everything else. Worst story out of the rest.
So we got Rocky Balboa, Rocky 5, Creed 2. What do you have as the next on your list? And see if I have the same.
I think this is where my biggest like I don't know moment was for me was this next pick. And basically it goes, what's like maybe a better movie versus like just what do I love more? And maybe I'll get there with Creed 3, but for right now, I'm going to stay away from recency bias, and I'm putting Creed 3 next.
Interesting. I have Creed 3 next on my list. After this, I have Rocky 2 and then Creed 3.
Rocky 2? Yeah. This low?
I despise the beginning of Rocky 2. I think the first half of Rocky 2 is so hard to watch, and it's painful. I like honestly, yeah. I don't know, but you might have Rocky 2 really high. This is where the big variation here is. Like I think it's the rematch. Obviously, you want to see Rocky come up on top, but this is where like the franchise starts to stray a little bit from the magic that was the first one. Him like learning, basically like him having all this money and then not knowing how to like read. It was like, and like not know how to carry out, how to be a champion, how to live your everyday life. I was just, I found I struggle to watch it. I don't find it as rewatchable as the rest of the Rocky franchise. I actually have Creed 3 ahead of Rocky 2.
That is wow.
The ending of obviously the last fight of
the last
Rocky 2, it's really good, right? Creed 3, I think I really liked Creed 3, you know, and like I don't know what I would give Rocky 2. I don't know if I'm getting it over 85 out of 100. Like I thought Creed 3 has the Jonathan Majors effect to it, you know, and I thought it was a good way to wrap up this franchise. I thought it was a return to form for that franchise. Like
Carl Weathers is great as well. Let's not forget the hospital scene. I thought was effective,
but Apollo Creed is better. Carl Weathers is better as Apollo Creed in Rocky and Rocky 3 than he is in Rocky 2, my opinion. Even arguably Rocky 4.
I agree with that. I agree.
Beginning of Rocky 2 is kind of electric though, when he's screaming in the hospital against Rocky there.
But I'm not to go against myself. I do agree with that. But overall, like, wow, you went Rocky 3 over Rocky 2. Like Clubber Lang over Apollo.
Well,
like,
Ricky, it's not like Rocky 3. First of all, like Rocky 3 is after my Creed 3 pick. I'll say that. And the reason I like Rocky 3 is not just because like Clubber Lang is electric and he doesn't have a strong connection to Rocky himself, but it's more about like what they do with the Apollo Creed character and his relationship with Rocky. I think that is cool how they continue like his presence in the franchise in a way where it builds up to Rocky 4. Like they still find storylines in this franchise like to keep him involved. And I thought it was effective. And like Eye the Tiger, you can't ignore the training montages with Carl Weathers
on the beach.
That's like it's Rocky 1, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, and Creed where you have the best training montages.
For me, Rocky 3 was the beginning of like it's starting to lose his touch though a little bit. It did feel a little too glossy for a Rocky movie. That's where it began, and that's
he started to take steroids in Rocky.
Yeah, exactly. Hulk Hogan, like that's where it got.
That's one of the best Thunder Lips. Come on, that's one of the better scenes.
I'm just using it to defend my point. That's where it started getting out of control. I'm not saying it got out of control in that movie. I'm just saying that's where like Clubber Lang, like everything in that nature, it started to get WWE, and also even the training montages, which was great. I just think, yeah, like I love it to this day. And I make a trade with you.
Okay.
This is the trade I'll make with you. We can have Rocky 3 above Rocky 2, but both of them have to be above Creed 3.
So you want to slide. So you want to go Rocky Balboa, Rocky 5, Creed 2, Creed 3, then Rocky 2, Rocky 3.
Yeah, that's the trade I'm making with you.
Is that a hot take to say Rocky 3 is better than Rocky 2?
I think so. But then again, like I have Rocky 4 above both of them, and that's I think
I have Rocky 4 next on my list.
I think Rocky 4 might be the worst movie of them all, but I think that's like one of the best, like as in just boxing movie. Why you watch it? That's why. Rocky 4, U.S. versus Soviet Union, Dolph Lundgren, absolutely monster, best training montage of all time. That's why you watch boxing movies. And because of that rivalry, the Apollo Creed element was awesome in that as well. I think that's my number 2. That's my number 2.
So like that's a part like Creed 3 did an excellent job like giving a motivation to come out of retirement. Rocky 4 does an excellent job of causing Rocky to come out of retirement. Like
Right,
it's
but
awesome motivation and it's like it's warranted by
But like
like
Rocky 4's motivation is better than Rocky 3 and Creed 3.
Rocky 3 though, he like that's where he like loses it. He loses the hunger. I'm afraid, you see? Like him yelling at Apollo. And it's just like Apollo has to bring it out of him. It's
But then he's fighting for his friend because he died in the ring against this
that's
guy.
That's why Rocky 3 and 4 I think are like they're tightly connected because they build on the relationship they had going from adversary to the best of friends and then losing your best friend. Like that's where like Apollo is like someone that held the Rocky franchise together. When Apollo leaves Rocky 5, it all goes to crap, right? Rocky Balboa, he's not there. It goes to crap, right? Centers around like the son of Apollo Creed reuniting with Rocky. All of a sudden you have magic again. Apollo Creed and Carl Weathers was the glue that held this franchise together. That's like why like I don't like a rematch with him. He's still playing the same character. He's still the adversary that we saw in the first Rocky. You know, he's lightening up a little bit, but Rocky 3, we did see that different side. That's why I like Rocky 3 a lot. Rocky 4, it has like this is where Rocky gets absurd. 4 into 5, and you kind of like just accept the fact it's getting a little crazy. Like you have like the home, you get the robot, like the futuristic type of thing going on, but also like obviously the Cold War, like Rocky ending the Cold War at the end of Rocky 4. That's almost like how the later like Superman movies with Christopher Reeve kept on getting a little bit too absurd. Same like era, you know. But the tropes of Rocky, like with the training montage, right, and the inspirational moments and the emotionality of it, like that's why I have it at 3.
Okay. Yeah, the 80s, you just got to get like that's just like the era of excess. Like
the Hearts on Fire, like the soundtrack. Like
like
that goes into like Rocky movies. Like Rocky 3 and 4 have great music that go with them.
Yeah. So what are we doing here? Can we make this trade or what?
Yeah, so we're gonna go Rocky Balboa, Rocky 5, Creed 2, Creed 3, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4. I think it's inevitable. Creed is gonna be 2 and Rocky out 1.
Yeah, I think I got a little ahead of myself. Rocky 4 is ridiculous. It should not be a number 2. Creed is a much better movie. It's just, it has to be above it. I just think when I look at Rocky 4, the glamour of it just gets to me. But, and of course, like you just got to give credit where credit's due. Creed was unbelievable. That was. And I think just the refresher of a boxing movie, not just a Rocky franchise movie, but a boxing movie, what it brought to the table was monstrous. Like, look at Southpaw. I love Jake G. You do as well. Unbelievable actor. But that didn't work. That didn't work. And that's why like, a lot of boxing movies didn't really work. Cinderella Man, a great movie in the 2000s. But besides that, I can't really think of a lot of great boxing movies in the 21st century. This one worked. And Cinderella Man had an easy movie to write on. Easy story to write on. Creed just like changed the game, I think. And not just from a story perspective, but also mainly because of the actual boxing element of it. And it still was with its roots. Sly Stallone gets an acting nomination for it, was great in that. Yeah, I'm good with Creed and the inevitable Rocky at 1.
Uh, Think about Creed. Like, you're right. Like, so many boxing movies, like, because they tell such a similar story. Like, Southpaw is like a boxing story you've seen 100 times. Bleed for this was okay with Miles Teller. I think people had high aspirations because he's doing that movie post Whiplash, a boxing movie. Whenever an actor is doing a boxing movie, you think of like, oh my God, this is it. But like boxing movies don't usually have the magic that they used to, you know? Um, but Creed, I think why it's so good, they find a way to kind of make you realize at this stage in like the latter Rocky movies, like Sylvester Stallone is better as a supporting character as Rocky. And he has like he if he is in too much of this movie, he overwhelms it. I think they literally use him perfectly in Creed. And you're right. It still has the lore. It still has the background. It still builds on the relationship, but it's not where he's getting like this the amount of screen time where it's taking away from this new chapter that we're seeing. Um, I just thought Sylvester Stallone was also it's the best acting he's ever done. I mean, he should have won an Oscar in my opinion. I think it's an all-time snub for playing basically this this not alternate, but like this older version of Rocky. This one who's not throwing punches, the one who has an emotional side, who's gone through loss, and he has to welcome in this new type of family into his life. I think it's as deep as the Rocky character has gone, in my opinion, and stellar, just so good. And Michael B. Jordan, what this was like him splashing onto the scene, and this made him a superstar, right?
Yeah,
When you
because everyone
find
knew
out
who he was.
and you can rejuvenate the Rocky franchise after Rocky Balboa. And this was him like going from like child actor to like just box office superstar.
Yeah, like because yeah, and Sly, going back to him, he won the Golden Globe for this, but he didn't get the Oscar, but got the nomination. Mark Rylance won for Bridge of Spies,
Yeah.
which I didn't particularly love. But besides that, this was a stacked Oscar year. Like this is the year of The Big Short. So Christian Bale gets the nom. I think he probably should have won. But Tom Hardy, The Revenant, great
Rocky's
performance
dude.
there. And then
Sylvester
Mark
Stallone should have
Ruffalo's
won.
Spotlight was also great. I would probably rank Christian Bale 1, then Sly 2. But
Sly was the best. He should have won that
he
year.
should have won just like, that
No, he was the
honor.
best performance, dude. I'm telling you, he was just the best performance. That he deserved it.
Michael Burry's great. But yeah, I
Michael
can't.
Berry got like such minimal screen time and a huge cast. He was great, but not enough for an Oscar. Like Sylvester Stallone should have gotten that. That
I
is
think he should have too.
crazy.
But I'm just
They thought the Golden Globe was enough for that guy. Come on, like
no.
no, but that's like the mentality. It's like, oh yeah, he won the Golden Globe. Like, of course he's gonna win the Golden Globe, but not the
Yeah,
Oscar.
the
Like
sports movies are just tough to
Rocky, the
win.
number one movie on our list, the all-time GOAT boxing movie, right? I don't care what people say about Raging Bull. Raging Bull is one of the most unrewatchable movies of all time. Yes, it's beautifully shot. Yes, we love the black and white. Yes, it's an all-time performance from De Niro. And yes, it's Martin Scorsese. But Rocky is what all boxing movies come back to. Every time there's a boxing movie, you say, how does it compare to Rocky? Now, the music in Rocky, all the music and the hype that goes into training montages, people say, how does it compare to Rocky? Or they're trying to rip off Rocky. The love, the romantic relationship, Adrian, Rocky, like every time someone does that in a movie now, they compare it to that type of relationship. Like everything comes back to Rocky, and that's why it's number one here and number one boxing movie ever made.
Yeah, and that Best Picture, because obviously famous for winning Best Picture over like a Taxi Driver, Network, All the President's Men, like very, like maybe did that have an effect on the Academy here? Like I wouldn't be surprised.
From like 40 years ago? Come
Yeah,
on.
dude, they hold grudges.
All the people who vote are still like voting there. So yeah.
I'm just saying. But easily Rocky at 1. It was never a debate, never in question. And and yes, it's slow at times. Let's just say it now. It is slow at times. But a lot of movies in this era was slow. Like this was just like the kind of the era, but the highs were so high. Like you could say, I think we've had this argument before that 70s might be like the best decade of movies.
Yeah. We
And
said 70s and 90s.
yeah, 90s. Oof. But 70s, like you could basically say that was the best, just on a level perspective, just because of the heights of this decade. And Rocky, I think, is a great example of just like, yeah, it's slow and boring at times. Like, you got uh Adrian and Rocky just hanging out for a bunch and it's kind of slow. But then you got unbelievable scenes that are just like the height of cinema. And it's in a sports movie that won Best Picture. That's unbelievable. Easily number one here.
Yeah.
One, I don't care what iteration of the franchise or you could say boxing movie they could ever do that could ever beat Rocky.
Like, he is a fictional character that is the most iconic figure one of the biggest cities in America.
Sad but true.
It's not sad. It's like he is America, dude. He is the American underdog. He is the story of America. Zero to hero, right? You can come from the bottom and you can rise to the top, right? The can-do mentality, right? And the never quit. He is a true inspiration. And whenever it comes to boxing movies, sports movies, it is the one that people call to, right?
Yes. Yes,
God damn,
it's your
that movie
base.
is magic, bro. I love that movie. I have the poster hanging in my house.
I
And
have one as
whenever I'm
well.
looking for inspiration, it's one of like the top movies I go to, along with Miracle. But like, it's up there with like the most inspirational movies I've ever seen. Probably number
It's
one.
what every
That'd be a
sports
good top
movie's
billing.
like structure is based off of. It's
We should
that
do a
impressive.
we should do a draft of most inspirational movies like this, Miracle, Pursuit of Happiness, like like Pursuit of Happiness, dude, is one of the most inspirational things I've ever seen. All right, so let's go through the rankings one more time to make sure we're on the same page. All right, at number 9, we have Rocky Balboa. At number 8, we have Rocky 5. At number 7, we have Creed 2. At number 6, we have Creed 3. At number 5, we have Rocky 2. At number 4, Rocky 3. At 3, Rocky 4. At 2, Creed. And at number 1, Rocky. Ricky, we made some compromises there. All right, we switched up our personal list for the greater good collective list. I think we did a great job negotiating.
I think I need to rewatch Rocky 2 and Rocky 3. But besides that, I'm very comfortable with this list. Even
Yeah.
if like that's the only hiccup, I think that's even not even a hiccup. I'm really comfortable with that because I think that's the start of the next tier. I think Rocky 5 and Rocky Balboa is one tier. Creed 2 is kind of in its own. And same with Creed 3, or you could even put Creed 2 at the bottom tier if you want. But I think just at the start of Rocky 2 is where it just changes.
That's really hard on Creed 2 to put it with like Rocky 5.
Yeah, I
and
know.
Rocky
That's why, like,
Balboa.
when I was, yeah.
Like it's not great, but it ain't like
Yeah,
awful.
yeah. But you know what I mean, though. It's just like Creed 3 is better than Creed 2, clearly. Different tiers, in my opinion. But I think Rocky 2 and Rocky 3 are clearly above a Creed 3.
We're not gonna get into it.
They are.
Like I'm Rocky 2. I'm telling you, I don't know. I don't know.
Can't believe you disrespected Rocky 2 like that.
I'm not disrespecting it. I think I love all of these movies. The only like it's just like there is a bottom tier, right? I know they're not in the same category, but like Creed 2, Rocky 5, Rocky Balboa. I think then there's just awesome movies. Right? I think then there's just awesome movies. All right. That's gonna do it for our power ranking of the Rocky franchise.